Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the panel for the invitation to speak. Thanks to Sages. Welcome to the speed dating of endoscopy. I have 6 minutes to make you fall in love with endoluminal defect closure. All right, so these are my disclosures. I'll wait a couple seconds. Some of these relevant. They have some of these products, but I don't think I'm biased, but here we go. All right, so objectives. We're going to go over some of this material. And again, this is just, there's a hole and we got to find ways to close it. And again, this is all endoluminal, so it's all transoral mechanisms of getting your defects closed. I have this huge algorithm that I tend to use for the most part, but we're going to have, I want to show you more of the videos and understanding the ways that we close this. So this is all up there for you guys to kind of look at a later time. Happy to share this, obviously, but for lieu of time, we're going to just kind of go over it. So stents for the most part, we use them when there are defects, but they're not, we're talking about endoluminal defect closure. We actually want to close the hole. What stents do is they basically just kind of block the hole, and it's going to close, what the body's going to close it over time, and usually you have to have drainage there. So stents is not going to fall in this category. So we're going to look at some a little bit more of interesting techniques to kind of get these holes closed for the most part. So I tend to use a lot of over-the-scope closure mechanisms. There are clips out there that are or through the scope closures, some newer clips. So we're still kind of gathering data on there. But right now, what I tend to use is over the scope, which is the clip just literally goes on the end of the scope. It goes into defects. There's different sizes, different types of clips as well. I tend to use a clip called GC, which is going to be a gastric closure, because I really want to get really full purchase bites to really kind of close these defects. And there's obviously various sizes from like 10 to about 14 millimeters or so, okay? So your biggest decision when you're in there and you're looking at this stuff is you really want to figure out, what's the size of the hole. So for the most part, a good rule of thumb is if that defect or that hole is smaller than that plastic cap, probably going to be a really good option. So let's go back. Here's the mouse. Okay, great. So you can see there, I'm going to go up against the hole, and we're going to put suction on the cap, and you're going to see the edges are going to roll in. Here's a little freeze frame so you can see how that hole or that defect is nicely centered. And I'm going to push suction. I'm going to suck in the ends over there, and all it is a simple wheel. A lot of this stuff that we're going to be talking about today is honestly simple and straightforward. It's just, you have to kind of get exposure to and learn how to do this. And it's a simple turning of the wheel. That clip, it's just like a bear claw. It's going to be released. It's going to go and it's going to grab a really big purchase of tissue, and it's simply going to occlude the opening. And over time, as that succus through the fistula tract is reduced, the hole is going to close over time. I also tend to burn the tract itself using APC as well. Okay, so there we go. And then I'll close it up. We'll get one more shot here. I think. There it is. Perfect. All right, so you can kind of see the little ends there of the clip. So really good mechanism. I really like this picture here. You're going to see really the before. You can see the clip on the far left. You can see it deployed in the middle. And you can see some contrast shooting there. And obviously, there's nothing coming out, okay? I won't spend too much on going through all the nitty-gritty of the data. Obviously, it's all on here. I'm more than happy to share the data with you. But for just because of the time, we're going to keep moving forward. So endoscopic suturing. Honestly, the future of endoscopy is now. Like, this is what we're going to be doing. Endoluminal robotics are coming down the pipeline as well. But what we're doing right now is really kind of the future of surgery. We're actually going in suturing. Obviously, this is the overstitch device. It's for individuals who haven't seen this before. It's really just a suturing mechanism. I just want to show you a quick schematic, but that's really, you have a helix device, allows you to grab and pull tissue. All right, and now here's a really nice video of kind of looking at how we close this. So this was an individual who went in for fundoplication. There was obviously what probably was to be a thermal injury, came in a little bit sick. So I took the patient to the endo suite, stable enough to have some time to perform this endoscopically. But you can see that helix that we saw earlier in the schematic being used to grab the edges, pulling it into the swing arm, and we're going to put a couple sutures there. Once the sutures are laid in, and I close it usually in about like a figure 8 progression. Okay, and then a cinch is gonna come down. You can see that one little anvil there. I didn't like my first one. Actually, the suture got kind of caught there, so I had to cut it, but that was one of the other ends. But you're gonna see I'm gonna drop the needle, and then here comes the suture cinch coming down. There it is, okay? So the needle itself becomes one end of the suture. The suture cinch goes on the other end. I'm going to pull this tight, and the tissue is going to come together, and it's essentially going to occlude the hole. I release that cinch, and all that suture stays, all that mucosa stays kind of aligned and closed, and patient did really well. So obviously, as a surgeon, my goal is essentially to keep this patient out of the operating room, and that's essentially what we did, right? We did all this in the endo suite, and had a really good outcome for it. All right, endovacs. Endovacs are obviously another really good methodology of closing these defects. Again, it almost falls in line a little bit with the stents, but for the most part, really successful. If you look at the data, especially we do a lot of esophagectomies at our hospital, so obviously we see leaks, just the nature of what we do. Endovacs are a really effective method of closing this. In some studies, you get up to about 90% effective rate. So I want to skip forward for this last one here, but pigtail catheters, really solid method as well for a lot of our sleeve leaks. I use this in situations where you have a little bit smaller opening, but you also have a larger pocket. And for patients who really need to eat, or if I don't have access to the pocket, for whatever reason I can't get external drainage, this is a really good option as well. I'm going to go on to X-Tac, which is probably a newer device that probably some of you have not seen too much, but these are small little helical devices. So this was just a gastrocutaneous fistula, and you can see that it's a device that you push into the mucosa, into almost the wall of the stomach, and you twist it, and it's just a tack, right? It's a screw that screws into mucosa, and you drop it. And then what's nice about this scope is I have the ability to drop a couple more anchors across, and I go in in a figure 8 progression, and then same thing, very similar to overstitch. We go and we release this, we pull this, the mucosa will come together, occluding the stomach. And what's really nice about this is it can be done through a single channel scope as well. So in those situations where you don't have as much room to maneuver, really, really good option as well. Okay, so in conclusion, the future of surgery is now, endoluminal surgery is here. As the technology gets better, we're going to be able to do more and more. You want to understand all the various tools you have available to you. And again, this stuff is straightforward. It's easy to do. You need someone to teach you and learn how to do it. So always, find whatever courses you can get to, attain the necessary training, and you'll be able to do this as well in your practice. So thanks for your time, and hopefully you fell in love with this stuff. Thanks, everybody.